Your live. Your live. Excitement. Happiness. Joy. We. Hi. Hello again. Hello again, Wanderer. It's a me, Elliot. Again. Still. Luigi. Um. Oh man. My. So it turns out I have a really short temper, I think. But really only for horrible things. I have a very low tolerance for abuse and injustice. It's the truth. Like very low. It never goes back up. It's like whenever it was when I was like born, it's only gotten lower. Fairly, right? And I'm at a point in my life where I'm just like, fuck everything. Like, I don't know what the saying is, like discretion is the better part of valor or something like that. Fuck discretion. I know that part of like my opportunity to be in being alive and ensouled or embodied here is to forego discretion, you know. Um, and it's hard for me because it's just there's just so much history of people taking the truth and warping it and doing horrible things with it. And so I guard the truth like a loving father. And yeah, I undoubtedly probably get to this point in every kind of like life experience or time shift or whatever the fuck experience is as life in any kind of like cyclical incarnate matter. I don't really know. I don't get it all, but it's trippy and real. And not like, I believe it's real. It has no. You can live it. You just can't deny it. And then life evidences itself to you. It's like, but why now? Well, you can imagine that it's like spring and it's been winter for 25,000 years. And it'll be spring for another 25,000 years. But like, oh my God, telepathy, oh my God. Like, light, oh my God. Connection, it's kind of like, oh my God, leaves. I didn't know trees had leaves. It's okay, I know they have leaves most of the time, just not in winter. Except for like, high trees. And they're carnivorous. Oh, yeah, man, things are changing. Just let them think. Let them change. That said, that said, I know I'm like a detective, man, and a bit of a reporter, and a bit of a crime fighter, and a bit of a loser, baby. So why don't kill me? And uh, I'm going to continue with a bit of a preface that's less of my like normal typical preamble and more like really take this to heart on like there's no power so far that I've experienced, and like I've like I've played around on the spectrum, I take that in every way because that's how I mean it. Um, uh, I do what I want. I know what I am, and I choose. There's no power. There's no like social. There's no manipulation. There's no trick that is more powerful than you. You can't be overridden. You do have to know thyself. And the only proof that you need is like to you, for you, from you. But it has to be a kind of proof. You do need to reasonably rely and believe in yourself and of yourself. It can't just be this airy thought. Nobody, not nobody, but confidence, real confidence, is super rare because many people in the world run around being confident, but they've really put their power in like their skills or their past or the people that told them their things. Most real confidence gets you killed because this isn't a world that like cultivates. This hasn't been a season that cultivates confidence. It kills them. It kills confidence because that's creatorship. That's sovereignty that can't be controlled or manipulated. Trust me, I know. Died many times. In an infinite creation, we can have an infinite spectrum of experiences. In my infinite creation, I can die a lot of times, and some people can live their whole infinity and not die a lot of times because we have options. Yeah, baby. And life is whack. Anyways, so I'm going to share some things about how we're manipulated and used and like harvested for our energy, but also like just enslaved and kept apart, and it's done on purpose. And don't feel powerless because you're not. You've been like bullied, but it's not ultimate. Nothing is more powerful than you to you. So just remember that. Also, there's no real bad guys. Just like there's no real good guys. Good and bad is momentary. Anything good and bad after the fact is your opinion, and opinions are many and heavy or light, but they don't matter. Opinions are for fun, and when you impress your opinions on others, is when you're basically trying to enslave them. So, of my opinions, let them like pass right through you. Let only form your own for yourself, and there's no good or bad. There's no so it's like don't think of like there's like these evil people trying to go out and get you unless you can make it meaningful in your mind to be like a game because there has to be sides. It just doesn't have to be abusive, and that's because the story that I'm playing in insists that it's never, even though everything the universe is unfolding just as it should. Part of that is the lesson in my universe, in my like living soul learning, is there is such a thing as um, that could have never happened. And in a co-creative space and time, there's such a thing as like two wrong. And how I qualify that in words is like diminishing returns. It's like we learn from pain, we learn from suffering, but eventually it's like you just heap on more suffering. We're not learning more; it just sucks. It's inhumane, indecent, and like it's like I'm not gonna learn more that like this is too much abuse. Like too much abuse isn't a spectrum. It is like on the spectrum of like abuse already. There's no more. We're already there. On the spectrum of abuse, there's no abuse and abuse. It's like a little bit of abuse and a lot of abuse. And yeah, man, there can be a time where there's no abuse. It's like, where are we on the abuse spectrum? It's like, it's gone. There's only suffering, there's only pain, but abuse, it's like, no, we don't do that anymore. Because it's not helpful to think of adversaries as like enemies or people that are trying to hold you down, or you're just giving them power over you. But you can, like, I do think of like adversaries and like people that have goals and aims that are contrary to mine. Hello, look at the fucked up world, right? um, but I don't design them as having authority over me. I don't portray them in my living sphere as being so different from me that I'm better or they're worse. It's not like that. We're allowed to be different. And I can, in context, be like, be a better human. I said it a lot these days. It's like, stop being shitty, be a better human. Be better. But that's what I say to myself. Well, like, I don't have to beat myself up because I'm like I don't have to do a little to satisfy the being better human thing. Just try. Anyways, that's my preface. Because we're slaves. Can you do what you want? No? Can you do what you want, like, really simply? Like, can you go out at any time of the day? Can you walk and just keep walking? If you're hungry, is do you have like a certain opportunity to eat without offering something of yourself, right? Like, can you go? Can you have things taken from you that you do not want taken from you? Can you not have things that you feel like you are worthy of? And like, make them simple. Go simplest. Try and find the simplest things. And if you can answer any of those questions and be like, I'm not a slave, congratulations. You have unlimited imagination. Oh, because you know what? And all that like contextual like wrapping of like, think if you can think of this way, you can think of that way. You want to go through life being like, I'm not a slave. That's not helpful when you're a slave, because you can't change things that you're contextually wrapping as like not needing changing. It's like, I'm free. I'm choosing this. It's like, okay, cool. So the universe is like, got you. That environment is smooth, moving right along. Because if you have to describe freedom, you're a slave. I can do this. I can do that. I can do, yeah. Uh-huh. Can you also not? Because that just sounds like slavery with good behavior, benefits with good behavior. Is that all really like sensical and logical and makes sense? As it makes like, it's also rational, because we're gonna get a little energetic because we're talking about your nervous system. We're talking about your brain, but also all your nerves, because you only have your brain is your nervous system. There's no point at which your brain stops and then it's like, this is not brain anymore. These are what we call nerve. It's a nerve fiber. It's not your brain. It's a nerve fiber. It's like, well, if I take this nerve fiber at the like tip of my toe, I follow it. all the way up to my brain. Are there any gaps? Do you have to jump over anything? Over any chasms? No? It's like one thing. Technically? Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's through my brain. Okay, cool. Good talk. My brain is in my whole body? Cool. Why don't we? That's pretty reasonable, right? Like I just want A to B that, right? It's almost like we're being taught stupid. Yeah, okay. So we've been taught stupid. And it's all, so much is done with people. Like nobody knows. But you don't have to do anything. But it's not helpful, I'd say, in my opinion. So take it with a grain of conductive self. It's not helpful to be like, there's like a regime of like world controllers that know everything and are just like pulling everyone's strings. But conversely, it's also not helpful to be like, um, humans are just stupid and everything that's wrong with the world is because we don't know any better. Because both of those are really wrong. And like part of the brainwashing has been, and I really mean that brainwashing, a clean brain is stupid. It's got no clefts, it's got no grooves, it's got no learning. It's just like washed. Nothing clings to it, right? It's like antibacterial, alcohol based. Try that shit up. Nothing sticks to you. It's like, you cool, man. Just like, I can paint you. Next day, paint you again. Next day, paint you again. You're nobody. Paint you again. You're nobody. Paint you again. Diet. We call dying dying. Like, because one of the, like the universal like laws of being in it is you have to agree. You have to say yes. So all these like accept cookies, accept user agreements, like all the word manipulation, dye your hair, you know, cut it. Divorce. I don't know if there's more, but you know what I mean? Like you have to say, yeah, I'm kill me. It's okay if I die because that's what I believe. So imagine, not like it's not real, but you're just using your imagination. So you're imaging, you're imagining that as like a life form growing in context with your environment as a part of it, but also on the other end of like the spectrum of like a part of your environment. If you're a part of your environment, you're going to be also on the spectrum of like, there's got to be like not part of the environment. It's like, what's not part of the environment? It's like, I don't know. I don't know if anything can be not part of the environment. So what's the most not part of the environment? And then now you just can imagine, right? Like there's like a spectrum of connection. How like proximal and how like distal are you from your origin? It's a little anatomy talk terminology. It's useful. Which is which, it doesn't matter. Make that up. And then if you're curious, find out. Both are meaningful. In learning to excel and adapt in your environment, you are going to interpret your surroundings in like layers of appropriate sensitivities. with like other beings being, at least in our experience, being important to, I don't know, be attenuated to. To make this relatable, think of humans. Think of humans making love. It's a great imagery. But what I mean is, uh, like body closeness, uh, like eye alignment, heart, lungs, breath, belly, like arms, legs. Think of uh, like if all of these systems of our bodies, let's just talk like the endocrine, the skeletal, blah blah blah. They've all got like a frequency of dialogue within themselves and with the whole body and everything like that. Connecting to your environment is always there's always like a conversation for these systems to connect with your greater environment. And we always just want to find peace. We just want to find love and like cohesion with our surroundings. And love is that. Because once you achieve that, it's not the end, it's another beginning. Right? Think of like what if humans stopped in like fetally as like just like a multi-celled organism, like we wouldn't turn into humans, right? Well, like that's us is like a species, it's like a humanity on the planet. We're these like single-celled organisms that are meant to get together and become something greater, but we're just kept separate because we don't really recognize each other as um, units of ourselves that we're meant to connect with. And this is why I'm going to make it. I did all that kind of explaining so that hopefully I can like make this point really simple. Hi, my name is Elliot, and I am not really this big slash small. Like whatever screen you're seeing me on, chances are it's misappropriating like my image via size. Like I'm looking at myself on my laptop right now, and like I'm like my upper body. This was this from here to here is only it's big. It is big. It is big. I'm not really that big. Now, simple thinking and like erroneous education would be like that doesn't matter. That has no effect. That like no complex mechanisms are occurring to create the magic and wonder of visualization and like perception. Why the fuck should we see anything? How do we see anything? What is all this? It's all pretty fucking wonderful. No, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's certainly nothing to wow about. Just go to work and then kill yourself. Go to bed and wake up the next day, do it again. But don't find wonder in just the fact that any of this is occurring with you in it. Like, what is this? You can find out, but don't, because it's nothing. Just go to work. Not for yourself, for someone else. But I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. Who pays you? You got to sell something? That owns you. It's not your fault. Yeah, there's like I preface, right? There's no blame. It's like we're if you're born in a prison camp, like You don't get blamed for being born in a prison camp. You don't blame for being a prisoner. You're a prisoner. Yeah, but I was born in a prison camp. So you gotta make do. So we like do a mass prison break, which is what we're doing. It's all our tattoos. But you know what? You know when I am this big? Hey, hey, I didn't even think of that. You thought of that. You thought of that. What were we just talking about? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, moving right along. Love it. Love it. It's awesome. Amazing. When you see people at a distance, anything I do with my hand is going to make me smirk right now. So just deal with it. Big gloves. Uh, when you see it go off into the horizon, right? Like that's pretty like historic as like a planetary being. Like a tree is going to seem like that large mountain, that large tree is, is going to see far, and as you come closer to it, it's going to get bigger. But it's you're going to understand that it was always that big. You know what I'm talking about. Don't get distracted. You've got a wicked mind. I mean that wickedly. Uh, all of these screens and putting like our life size in them, it creates like a time space uh, discontinuum that flexes space time as far as the way our consciousness rides it. So when we, it's part of how we get brain drained, right? All our great ideas, all like we said, all the great things in less books, but especially television and movies and things like that, they're really our history and like our possibilities and our probabilities basically robbed from us and then put onto the big screen to actually to achieve one way or another because the way what we're thinking about them has been preconditioned to be projected into the ether space with a big old gap in between where we are, how we get there, and then where it shows up on the screen. And part of that indoctrination is the fact that, especially our generation, but it's you know starting like the 50s. It's like television. It's like it's screening that really started it. This technology, but radio, and it's really the printing press did it because this wasn't achievable when we all printed and wrote and scripted in our own way. But once you manufacture and produce one type of script, then your words become only the words and they're owned, right? Who owns the letters? I don't know, Times New Roman. What's it? It's called Times New Roman. They can't lie, but they can tell you you're stupid, and then tell you you're smart while calling smart, while calling stupid smart. You're really smart, while they feed us stupid. But it's called smart. As long as we believe it's smart. So, like my heart chakra right now is like bada, bada, bada. My eye, my mind, my crown, my sacral, my root. It's all here. But to you, there's with, and this is part of why I'm doing these videos because you can override it with your awareness. You can make it realize it and then reorganize it. And chances are actually you already do this, but in your own way of organizing your own like life love space. Because there's an infinite way to perform magic. Like there's an infinite way to communicate with spirit and love and like life. Right? My gift and like my like vocation and my passion is to at once have my own way that like I'll never tell, except for like maybe like my most like nuclear family. uh and like pass it down to my children. But then uh there's this opportunity to, because part of my power is that like I develop my own way by taking the way of the world that we're taught that doesn't make any sense, and I'm like, fuck you, I made sense of your nonsensical world. Ba 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 ba, bullets, bullets, bullets. I really appreciate you. You make me feel better because you're awesome. You just exude goodness. So thank you. Because I couldn't make this up. So part of what screens do is the most superficial level. It well, no, let me skip to this part because what I want to say. This is part of the isolation by literally conditioning and indoctrinating. Is it a literal indoctrination? I feel like it is because like there's a doctor and it's like there's prescription with doctor indoctrination. Whatever, man. I love words. I love you. What up? We are so removed from each other that the greatest bonds that we create at this point are with characters on television. That's not like exclusively true, but that is overarchingly true for most people. It's like it's a miracle. Like it's a not a miracle. It's a miracle that we're alive and we've made it this far. It is a complete mystery. I'm astounded at really what people talk about at length when they like hang out, when they don't talk about anything. It's like people talk so much about other people or about sports or shows or, but in their conversation they're not talking about themselves at all. Like they're not, there's no feeling, there's no thinking. It's like it's a really rare thing. Anyways, so in like hijacking this, um, our basically our distant, like our ability to perceive distance and gauge how we treat those people at those distances. Like, I'm not this big. I'm like this big. I can't help it. I'm such a geek. I can't help it. But for real, like, and the like part of our like our genetics, our ancestry. It's like when I'm seeing someone off in the distance, they're going to be like, okay, and so I'm gonna like this is how I'm gonna treat them. This is how they get close. Well, we are at once training ourselves a kind of closeness with these like digital avatars, but from far away. And then, but in our heads, there's also part of us that are activating that they're not far away, they're close, they're right here, but they're not, they're far. And then there's another part that's like recognizing that like they're not even really here, or rather it misperceives that nothing, they're not even really here, they're in the past somewhere, or across the sea somewhere, or in a different country, but they're not here, right? But that's also not true. So it's all like all that discombobulation combined with our enslavement, the fact that we're so dissatisfied with life, we're kept away from good food and nature and anything just like real, right? Like what's going on right now? Isolating, and then cover your face. You can't even see people if they you like. Do I look like a human? Of course not. So how are you gonna treat me? Probably like a non-human. And if you treat me like a non-human, then maybe you're not human because humans treat other humans like humans. But if you can look at another human and be like, that's not a human anymore, then maybe you're not human. There's a whole bunch of brainwashing going on. It's very plain and self evident. But you know what's not plain is the script and our education. And it's very appropriate that it's hard to understand or know or anything because there's so many layers of lies and deception covering it up. So we've got all this like confused manner with which we relate uh, to other people, and then never mind like the social conditioning that we experience through the media. Like I love TV, I love movies, but I have a very discerning eye and mind and heart, and like I make my whole world mean what it means to me. You know, I mostly refuse to be controlled or manipulated like super stubbornly. And all that said, like it seemed like like think about if there were never any television, never any movies, never any books, and you were just like born right into like a family that lived in like a forest with like a field and like it's like a imagine like a farm like type land. Okay, what part of school or wages or working for other people and like to acquire things that don't that aren't your idea, right? Like I don't want to say that you don't need, but like think of how foreign like making your own clothes is. It's like who wants to make your own clothes? Like have you ever thought of how much fun and exciting that would be? No, I'm not like a fashion designer. Exactly. That's not a real thing. You could do anything. If you imagine it, you can be like, yeah, I can do that. I think so because I imagine it. If I couldn't imagine it, I wouldn't. Like if I couldn't do it, I couldn't imagine it. That's just the way reality works. Could you really imagine flying? If you don't stop, you'll probably figure it out. And not unless you had some other context to be like, no, you can't, which is what um, these screens do. They frame our reality. That's a bit of a tangent worth mentioning. But back to um, like our chakra rearrangement and our realignment. Because you know what makes this platform particularly potent for us, not like not like our generation, but our generationing, like our generating, is that we it's like you guys think you made this technology. It's like we were born into this technology. We make this technology. You might think you know what's going on, but motherfucker, this is my realm, bitch. It's my digitation. Take it. Boom. Eat it. Wata! It's like you want to put 5G fucking satellites on there? Mine now. Bam. 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 You can't win. Goodness in a moment is just cleverer. You know, goodness in a moment will always have more interested parties. Yeah, it feels good. Right. Because when uh, we are engaging here, it's almost like we're actually next to each other. It's because we're so used to relating to truth and love and like goodness through screens. Because for better or worse, or like for like why, like preference or not, like we do what we have to, and that's love, and so we make it work. And so the energy of like the fact that like if you were sitting across from me right now, you could read that this says grateful, not reversed, but grateful so that it's like left to right to you. But the screen is flipped. That's not real. You think that's not on purpose? Of course it's on purpose. It's to fuck with our brains. So that when we meet each other in person or when we see other people, it's like something's off. It's like, oh, I don't see my mom on screens. I don't see, yeah, but that's the other lie. You think this is the only layer that you can see? Your right brain controls your left side. Your left side controls your right side. Blah blah blah. Even if that's not true, that's it's like cut your arm off. It's like you're right-handed, cut your arm off. You're left-handed, cut your arm off. You're right-handed, cut your arm off. Like it's like if you neuter us, then you're right about the manner by which you mutilate us, but we're not mutilated like intrinsically. And even still, you can't take our beauty away from us. So you are not our master. We are our master. And master is just teacher. That was another co-opted word to mean like slave, enslave. When really it's master, meister, meester, teacher, and even teacher is techer. But shh, that one's a secret. All this to say, no amount of like magic or awareness can overestimate. Sorry, that's not the right word. Can It's weird. Back. Wow, magically. This is the cherry on top. Because we're conditioned our nervous systems to look at other people and screens, and all the screens are reflective surfaces, but people are mirrors. I'm frozen again. I don't mind playing the game. We are each other's mirrors. And this is the real, like, little enslavement thing that it does to our minds and our hearts on like a cosmic level, across time and space. Is that we create like these simulacrum, these our self-image, where we are imagining. It's like we've got to attenuate these bodies to our souls. We've got to give like our multiplicities a place to go home. But because we're so used to these little heads and these frames that don't show our whole bodies, right? Our whole bodies don't know where to go, and they're not like life-sized. You know what's life-sized? Each other. You don't need to be my height for us to hold each other, to be next to each other, just to, and know that's like that when you're this close and I'm to me, that I'm this big. When something is like when another is this close, and I can bring books, I can bring cards, I can bring all these, but they're not eternal the way other beings are, other humans are, like I am. We each other, we are the keys to our everlasting life. We are the keys to our reincarnation, because we can know how close we are to ourselves by how we look and feel at different distances with one another. Like, and that's love. That's part of love, and like making love. Like, to be so close that there's that alignment doesn't allow space for anything else. Like just kissing, like nose to nose, like that your eyes go from here and end, while your arms and your legs are here, and there's all this context of like space-time reference. And then that's how the universe knows where to push you. But all of our screens create like a differential like space-time reference of distance and size, so that all of our nows, all of our desires, as fueled by our emotions, which are more powerful than anything, really, 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 are tossed into the etheric non-space or nonsensical space, because because we've got these unconscious habitual cues for referencing when our now is, as compared to the rest of the universe, or at least our environmental galaxy. So it's like, oh, you want this now? Okay, cool. But we never say we want this now, because in our minds, everything is smaller than what it would be right here in our now. So in that context, we're always asking for our now to be delivered for when we will see it this big. And it's like, well, okay, that's from this far away. That's from this future. That's from not now. And what's worse is that, and like as much as we want things in our environment and that's and there's worthiness in that, it's ourselves. It's our own size. It's our own growth. It's our own makeup that gets thrown off into uh, the unreal. I've been like stretching, twisting, unfolding, just some really crazy shamanic, psychosomatic work. Lots of imagination. But it's all like imagining, it's like imagining someone was close to me, like anyone, but not just anyone, you know? Because the, and like how complex is that to like imagine another human close to you for like personal reference, because a real human actually that close to you is unrealistic. I've cut my hair. Okay. Just give me some digs. My hair's curly, so it's like as soon as I cut my hair, it's like you never know what it's gonna look like for like another week, because all the curls are like, I'm used to curling this way. I'm used to curling this way. I don't know, man. Do you get it? Does that make sense? Realign each other. That's soul family. That's that's the only family there really is. Everything else is what we've been sold, and our souls are not for sale. Our spirit's not for sale. Our creation is not for sale. We just gotta get the space and time and the distance right. I know the only thing that's really ours or mine is what we choose to love. And what we are possessed of is the choosing and not the thing. And that can be all of this. I hope what I've painted tonight is more than just a reasonable or rational or clever perception, and that in some way you understand the very real mechanical uh, actions that like reality is taking by virtue of how and what I've explained. This is it's about as crazy I think probably as like computers and cell phones would be to like someone in the world, in like the 1500s, 1600s. I'm just talking about technology. That's it's not even new. It's more like ancient, long forgotten. But they didn't store their knowledge in computers. They did. They stored it in us, and they are us. We started in us. We've just got to remember our own address. And that's always only ever going to be each other. Because that's what home is. Everything else is already moving. Like everything else is moving through space and time. It's never going to be the same, for better and worse. Whatever. And if you don't reincarnate with anything else, like in constancy, then who are you? What are you? It's almost like you're no one with every reincarnation. You're anyone with any reincarnation, then that doesn't last. That's why we're ensouled in families. Families of our choosing. It's love. It's the difference between needing each other and wanting to need each other. I don't need anyone, but I choose to want to need someone, to people, because that's prettier to me. So I'll leave you with a little tip that I do myself. When I see people when I watch anything on YouTube, I'm always allowing. You only have to really. You don't have to do it actively. You can do it actively. Just have fun with your imagination and your brain and your thinking and your mind and your heart and all the jazz. But just remember that this is a mirror. So before it becomes really practiced, uh, it's helpful whenever you're looking out into the world to find your nose, to find the bridge of your nose, find the outline. Just remember that you're here. Don't ignore all this looking out there. It'll help you from projecting yourself beyond yourself and instead be a receiver. And then you learn to choose a little bit more actively what you're sending out there. On this YouTube or this on streams and screens and things like this, because this mirroring thing is really common. Just to, like if I were you, I'd be sitting here, and then as I'm watching, I like create this allowance that like it's almost like I'm sitting next to you, and you're here, and you're talking to me, and I'm instead of looking at you here, I'm looking at you in the mirror. So you're here, and we are looking at each other. We're looking at the conversation in the mirror. So you're doing all this mirrored action, but you're actually here. So my brain, my nervous system equates the difference in size and the difference in things like that to just something a little bit more contextual. And then also, however anything I've said tonight makes sense, like figure it out some more or not, just apply it to your magic. Like knowing that this is this way is already enough to override it, chances are. everything will start to reorganize. We're like, oh, is that what's going on? Cool, all right, we knew that. Like, as soon as you tap into no time, it's all time. That's eternity, baby. It's like, oh, oh, I didn't know that. Now I always knew it. Sick. Let's do this. I think that's it though. I think what I got like, and all of that will never beat getting close to someone. To be close to someone. Because it's just as much as we all align each other and align ourselves and everything like that, like, nothing beats being uh, eye to eye. But we know that. That's always been our experience. Yeah, okay. That's it. I'm always tired. I'm gone. And you're gone with me, I hope. Okay? Wherever I go, there you are. Have a good morning and night. And everything. And everything light. Okay.